Greetings everyone, hello, welcome to another episode of the Gaming Aroma podcast, your Sunday morning or afternoon or whatever day of the week you're listening to, your weekly gaming ramble from me, KDB, back once again. This is episode 5, it is Sunday, it's a horrible Sunday. I'm kind of done with the depressing rain, fog, mist, drizzle. As I always kind of joke, the weather is news, and yeah, that is the news. It's still shit outside here in the south of England. And it's getting to me. To be honest with you. We had the wettest February on record, and then it's continued to rain every single day in March. We've had like an hour of sunshine here and there. It's supposed to be spring, and yeah, a large part of my day job relies on good weather. For those that don't know, I work at an SEN college, but we also have public attractions. We have like a walled garden, and we have cafes and a garden centre. And a large part of the commercial side of the business relies on good weather and people coming out, and we have events on and things like that. Obviously, we've got Easter holidays coming up where stuff's on, and the weather just kills the business. So my problem is I care too much. I'm too empathetic. And so it rains and it's horrible outside, and I think, oh, it's horrible and rainy outside. And then on top of that, I think, and that's just going to be hurting the business as well. But there's nothing I can do about it. Maybe I shouldn't dwell on it. Maybe I should just think about things that I enjoy and think about things that I like. One of those things is, of course, video games, which is what I'm here to talk about. Firstly, though, another admission after last week's, shall we say, internet-breaking, earth-shattering reveal that not only was I not recording on a Sunday, but I was not drinking coffee, because I'm supposed to drink coffee while I do these episodes. I was drinking Pepsi Max infused red wine. Not even Pepsi Max, it was the cheap Aldi Cola. And this kicked up a bit of a storm amongst friends of mine, friends and listeners. And somebody out there, my fellow carrot, had the audacity to imply that it was bullshit and what I was drinking wasn't a real drink. Well, as things transpired, despite what Luigi says, red wine and Coke is very much a real drink, and it's enjoyed by people not just in Spain, but also cultured people such as myself. And yeah, maybe just some folks out there who couldn't handle the existence of this fine beverage, they need to educate themselves. They need to get out there. They need to try new things. Broaden your horizons. So yeah, after last week's, like I say, earth-shattering reveal, I've got another one this week. I'm not drinking any coffee right now. I promise I'll get to the video games in a minute. I am a bit shaky. I'm a bit unsettled. I've usually had 2 coffees by this. I'll usually be on my second coffee while I'm doing the podcast. But we're out of fucking milk, so I can't have a coffee. And the Tesco shop isn't due to be delivered for about another half an hour, maybe 10 o'clock, something like that. So I'm going in dry. Oh my God. Should I cut that out? No, I'm leaving it in. That's what she said. This is what happens when I don't have my coffee. I'm just, yeah, I can't think straight right now. But yes, so bear with me. I'm gonna scratch and claw my way through this. This is the Gaming Aroma podcast, but there is no aroma of coffee this week. So yeah, despite the shit weather, lack of coffee, and the online abuse I received after last week's episode, I'm doing pretty good. Yesterday, I recorded a huge episode of the Starfield Sandwich podcast, which is my buddy Eric's Starfield podcast, which I co-host. I mean, I co-contribute to. It was always something that he launched himself, and I've kind of tagged along with. We had an awesome discussion about 6 months with Starfield, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Starfield before I wrap up this episode today. But if you have any interest in my honest thoughts about Starfield, please go and listen to it. I've shared it on my Twitter. You can find it if you search for Starfield Sandwich on your podcast app of choice. It's also on YouTube. There is a video version of us having that conversation as well, so please enjoy that. I gave lots of thoughts on the impact the game has had, just sort of on gaming and myself, and or lack of impact in certain areas. We talked about the online discourse, and I laid down some hard truths to the haters out there. So go and check it out. But yes, gaming news. Let's talk about some gaming news. It's been a slow week in gaming news, so I don't have too much to go on. There is just kind of one main topic I want to talk about today before I just kind of talk about a bit of gameplay. I suppose one thing I'm not going to talk about, one thing that is news, is the PS5 Pro specs have leaked. I'm not really going to get into that today. I was maybe going to talk about it, but I thought about doing something in future, in a couple of weeks' time, where I just talk a bit more about hardware and graphics and capabilities and all that. And I don't really have the brain capacity this weekend to digest teraflops and frame rates and resolutions and stuff. So I'm going to keep it more simple. I'm going to keep it more simple and more, shall we say, complainy today. So I'll talk about PS5 Pro specs in the future and future of the other, Xbox hardware and Switch hardware, because the Switch is coming at some point too. But there is one news topic I think that's going to send me off, and this is something that I nearly kind of touched on last week, because it links to the whole idea of live service and is it bad, is it good? I guess the hypocrisy of some people when it comes to live service as well. But yeah, this week I've got an article here from Eurogamer. Footage of Insomniac's seemingly cancelled live service Spider-Man: The Great Web appears online. Footage of a purportedly cancelled cooperative live service Spider-Man game from developer Insomniac, titled Spider-Man: The Great Web, has appeared online following last year's ransomware attack targeting the developer and its employees. The trailer, narrated by Yuri Lowenthal, the voice of Insomniac's Peter Parker, points to a 5-player co-op Spider-Man game featuring various multiverse incarnations of the character, including Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man 2099, Scarlet Spider, alongside Peter Parker and Miles Morales, who would go up against the Sinister Six in an open-world Manhattan. Spider-Man: The Great Web first came to light following last year's ransomware attack on Insomniac, and would seemingly have been a part of an ambitious but floundering live service plans under the watch of departing PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, of which Naughty Dog's The Last of Us multiplayer project has been the most high-profile casualty. The newly leaked Spider-Man Great Web trailer also appears to have been acquired through last year's ransomware attack, which Insomniac later called extremely distressing. In the same response, the studio thanked fans for their ongoing support during this challenging time, offering assurances it would formally share details of its still in development projects, such as eagerly anticipated Marvel's Wolverine, when the time is right. It's just a bit more about the leak there. So this trailer, what was it called? The Great Web. For those who haven't seen it, open on a shot of New York City. We've got the characters pushing over cars, fighting Rhino, is it? Illustrated shots of them eating pizza, fighting the Sinister Six. Protect the neighborhood, it says, with Miles Morales swinging through the air. Then we've got Gwen Stacy, Ghost Spider, kicking people in the face. All the usual, Spider-Man. There's a big hero shot of all the group. Here's a shot here of all 5 of them running together, beating people up, swinging around, sticking people to windows. big kick in the face there by Ghost Spider. Take down villains, it says. And that's, is it Mysterio on screen? We've got Venom swinging his arms around. Doc Ock, the Vulture. Explore the Great Web. And then looks like they're going through a multiverse dimension thing and going into a different world and doing some more ass kicking, swinging around the city. Yeah, shot of all 5 stood on the side of a building before they all jump off together and dive down through a, shall we call, gaping hole in the sky, which takes them through the multiverse and to a different area. Game looks great. I mean, game looks fine. It's clearly a very much in development trailer. But the reason I want to talk about this was, I suppose the sticking point for me is I'm just really confused. The reaction to this trailer, I would say, has been universally positive and with a huge outcry being, why has this been cancelled? I would love to play this. It looks amazing. It looks nearly done. I mean, it doesn't look nearly done at all. If you actually open your eyes and watch it, it's very work in progress. Yeah, and I was confused. I was confused, man, because I sat here and watched this trailer a couple of times and effectively just watched what I would say is a trailer for Suicide Squad, but with the Spider-Man characters. For some reason, though, Suicide Squad bad, Spider-Man good. And I just don't get it. I really hope somebody can explain to me. Is it just because people don't like DC? Is it because people don't like DC characters? Is it because people love Spider-Man so much and Spider-Man can do no wrong? Is it because it's a PlayStation exclusive? I don't know. These are questions I have. I was so confused about the hypocrisy around this because this comes off the back of something else which confused me, and that was, I suppose, another case where, in Suicide Squad's case, live service bad, but in another game's case, good. And that game was Helldivers 2. I'd love to play Helldivers 2. Looks awesome. I'm not saying Helldivers 2 looks bad. I think it looks great. But how come live service good when it's Helldivers 2, live service bad when it's Suicide Squad? And people say, well, because Helldivers 2 is actually fun. I want to focus on the main thing here, and that is this idea that live service is, you know, the death of games as we know it, and it's destroying creativity. Helldivers is a live service game. People have accepted that with open arms. Suicide Squad, as I mentioned on an earlier episode of this show, is a perfectly fine game. Yes, there's some repetition towards the end as we await the arrival of Season 1 in the game. But as a game, incredibly high production value, great characters, insanely tight gunplay that I would equate to the likes of something like Titanfall. Yeah, and as a service game with a roadmap ahead of it and a clear kind of vision on what they wanted to do, I thought it was a really solid launch, and the reaction to it really confused me. And I talked about this a little bit on the Starfield Sandwich episode we did yesterday. I think it's really clear that a large part of the reason people didn't like Suicide Squad is because it wasn't the new Arkham game. It wasn't what they wanted. It wasn't the new Batman adventure. It wasn't the single-player Superman adventure, you know, Wonder Woman or whatever, from Rocksteady sticking to that formula that they nailed before. Instead, it was Rocksteady going in a different direction, a direction that the devs have come out and openly said that they're very proud of, and they're very proud of the work that's gone into it. So there's no people being forced against their will to you know, abandon all creativity. Creativity and service can exist together. You know, this is not mutually exclusive. So yeah, I've often kind of felt that a lot of the hate towards Suicide Squad is just people not getting what they want. And I'm not saying, you know, all of it is that. There's definitely some people who just have no interest or have no interest in in that kind of grind. I don't have interest in live service grind, really. Suicide Squad did enough to let me dabble with some of the repeat missions, or excursions as they're called. But yeah, I think people were just very upset they didn't get what they want. A lot of people want Spider-Man and love Spider-Man and love the Spider-Man games from Insomniac. And obviously Insomniac are on the back foot here because this is the result of a leak, and that's really shit and really bad. And yeah, we don't want that to happen. So there's a lot of sympathy going towards Insomniac at the moment. But everything that you see in this trailer, and it's not very much, to be fair. You know, you see a bit of combat, you see a bit of traversal, and you see a bit of what can be described as warping through multiverses into different zones, I guess, to do missions. It's very, very, very similar to Suicide Squad. You do those things. You traverse a city with your friends, or with with the Suicide Squad. Your co-op partners are always there on screen, whether they're real people or just controlled by bots, exactly as this Spider-Man trailer showed. You fight together, you fight mobs of enemies in the streets, you fight bosses, and you jump through portals and enter the multiverse and go to different areas. Yeah, it's a formula that lots of games do, and here it is again in Spider-Man the Great Web. But for some reason, everyone wants this game. And I just don't get it, because and I need to be clear here, I'm not saying the game looks bad. I'm not. I think it looks great. I'm just confused. I'm just confused at the hypocrisy once again. I'm confused as to why games like Suicide Squad were absolutely destroyed, and articles were written by huge outlets basically saying, I hope this kills the genre. I hope this is the end of live service. And then a few weeks later, this trailer leaks, and it's like, let's get this turned over. Let's get this uncancelled. Bring it out. We want this live service Spider-Man multiplayer game that's exactly the same as the game we didn't want from the other studio. I don't get it. Maybe it's too early on a Sunday. Maybe it's because I haven't had my coffee. But I'm just confused and a little bit tired with the hypocrisy. I've said on this show how I'm tired of the gaming industry. You know, to quote my buddy David from Gears Intel, Mr. David Smiley, he's tired of the gaming industry across the board. I'm the same. I'm just honest about my thoughts and opinions. I'm not saying I'm right all the time. I just feel there's a lot of dishonesty when it comes to opinions online. The favoritism, the bias, it's so prevalent, and it's just so boring. People, it's not, and it's not all bad. I definitely see some honest takes from some people, but it just feels like the broad, the sort of, a lot of the outlets, a lot of the big publishing outlets, and then a lot of the big loud fanboy voices online. Yeah, the hypocrisy is strong. Why is live service good in this case, but bad in Suicide Squad's case? People were killing off Suicide Squad before, have been killing off Suicide Squad before its season 1 has even launched. You were delivered a solid 10 to 12 hour campaign with side missions that, yes, there was only a few of the side missions. The devs said, season 1's coming, late March, more missions are coming, new locations, new playable character, new weapons. Why can't you just wait for that and see what they're offering? But no, Suicide Squad, get rid of it. It's shit. We don't want it. Spider-Man, oh yeah, no, I want that. Get it uncancelled. I want the live service Spider-Man game with the battle pass and the missions that I need to grind. In Suicide Squad, they're called excursions. What are they going to be called in this? I don't know what the Marvel equivalent would be. Yeah, I just really, really confused. And like I mentioned, Helldivers as well. Now, Helldivers obviously is, I guess you could say Helldivers is more of a live service light. It's maybe not as extreme as some of the others, but it is a live service game. It's absolutely a live service game. And maybe that's going to become more of an issue for people as they realise that, okay, the core loop that they've had was fun, but now they're being sold a lot of extras that they don't really want, for a game that maybe doesn't run as good as it could and isn't accommodating enough players to meet demand. But yeah, it's the second coming of live service, and I'm just confused. Maybe it's me. Maybe I don't have the power of looking into the future the way that so many other people online do when they watch this trailer, and they're like, they can see exactly how this game works, and yeah, this game was going to be perfect. For all we know, this game was cancelled because it was absolutely hot trash and boring and dull. But we'll never know. I don't think it looks that. I think it looks like it had a lot of potential. I'm with people. I'm with the people that say, yes, uncancel this, get this out there. But I just don't understand what the difference is. This is Suicide Squad, but with Spider-Man. It's the same game, from what I can see from the trailer. Now, obviously, as I just said, I don't have the power to look into the future to see a game that was never finished. But you can tell the fundamentals are there. The co-op play, traversing around the city, beating up thugs as you go around, jumping through the multiverse to complete quote-unquote excursions. This good, Suicide Squad bad. I don't know. I don't really get it. Anyway, that's my whinge, my Sunday morning whinge out the way. What did you think of Spider-Man the Great Web? Tell me. Do you think it should have been uncancelled? Do you think The Last of Us factions, should have been uncancelled? Do you think Suicide Squad is good? That game, I haven't played it for a couple of weeks, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks now, because I am waiting to see what they do with Season 1, and I guess I'll have what I should say is a final verdict on that game. Suicide Squad, as I've mentioned, I think it's a solid launch. Excuse me, I'm a bit sniffly. A solid launch, and I am interested to see what they do with Season 1, to see, I'm like, okay, time will tell, does this game have legs for me? Because I'm not grinding up to level 100 mastery or whatever it is you've got to do. I know that some people are out there, but no, I have no interest in doing that. I play other games. But if they drop a nice chunky Season 1 with some other fun missions to play and a new character, I will definitely check it out. So yeah, I suppose to just underline this, I get it, Suicide Squad is out and is a package that people can properly look at and have said, no, I don't really like it. I mean, again, I've said I take issue with some of the criticism, and I think a lot of it was bandwagoning because people just didn't get what they wanted instead of focusing what the game was trying to do instead. And people have had a chance to actually play it and say, yeah, this is how I feel about it. Fine. And people haven't had a chance to play this Spider-Man game, so they can say, hey, I at least want to give it a chance. I get that. I completely get that. But as someone who's played Suicide Squad a lot, I just watched this trailer and said, it's Suicide Squad with a Spider-Man skin. It's the same game. So, I should say, it looks like the same game. But I guess we'll never know. That was just my thoughts on that. Yeah, it's something that I get. That is kind of the main thing that caught my eye this week. As I said, it's been a slow week for gaming news. Okay, edit, cut, insert. I just had to stop recording because the Tesco shop arrived. Good news. I may cheer up now, and I might actually get through this because the shop is here, the milk arrived, and at last, coffee is in flow. I made my coffee, had a chocolate biscuit, and I'm relaxed. I can forget about my frustrations with Spider-Man the Great Web, and we can move on. I can move on from the Great Web and the hypocrisy online to more interesting things. So if you've stuck with me this far through all my whining and complaining, well done. Well done. Give yourself a pat on the back. There were a couple of other quick things, newsworthy, and these aren't actually video games, but they do relate to video games and video game media. Firstly, Nintendo announced a new animated film based on the world of Super Mario Brothers. Now, I saw it's been a year, right? I think we're almost a year out from the release of the last Super Mario movie, which was, it was fine. I got a lot out of it because I went with my kid, and my kid is massively into Mario, and it felt like a big, one of those full circle moments as a parent where I was able to pass on my love for this thing to my kid, and he also loves it, at least for now. And he was so excited about going to the cinema for that movie. And as a gaming and Mario fan, I loved all the references and the music and the soundtrack and that. It was fun. It was very much a kid's movie. It was so simplified. The plot was very, very thin, but fine. It was like the plot of a kid's TV show on a Saturday morning, but stretched out into movie length. I always remember the scene where Princess Peach and Mario, they basically lay out the plot. I think it's like 20 minutes into the film when after Mario has met Princess Peach and he's missing, he's in the Darklands. And Peach basically just lays out the whole plot and point of the film in 3 lines of dialogue, and that is it right there. It's very simple. It's nothing really edgy. It's all just, it was for the kids, and it obviously succeeded because it was hugely successful. And they're gonna keep doing it, obviously. So, yes, Nintendo announced that they're producing a new animated film based on the world of Super Mario Bros. The new animated film is planned to be released on April 3rd, 2026. So it's still 2 years away. Which is a long time. Is the world even going to be here by then? But, I just thought that was cool because obviously they recently announced that they were doing a Zelda movie as well, but through Sony, not Illumination, which I'm interested to see. And that's a live action movie, right? But yes, that was big news for Nintendo. And then also connected, I just wanted to talk about quickly the way that the Fallout TV show is being promoted. For me is so awesome. That new trailer that came out looks great, and I'm kind of might be repeating here a little bit of what I've said on the recent Starfield Sandwich episode because I touched on the marketing for Fallout. That is how you market a TV show. If you think about the Halo TV show and how that was just sent out to die by Paramount and Xbox, and look, the first series was disrupted by the pandemic and stuff, and I get it. But it just seems that the Halo TV show can't catch a break. And there's people that said the second season is better. The clip I saw that everyone was raving about with the fight scene, the CG was atrocious, I thought. So I've not seen the show. I am going to sit down and watch it at some point. But obviously through osmosis, I see a lot of criticism towards it. But I'm going to make up my own mind. The clips that I've seen, it looks fine. That apart from that CG looked really bad. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is I think they know it's not great because the marketing behind it is not good. And there isn't really a buzz. Season 2, there was more of a buzz. And there was definitely, like I saw it on a bus where I live, and to me, that's a sign of, okay, they're putting some money behind it. If the Halo TV show is being marketed on a bus in my little peninsula seaside town in the south of England, I know that Paramount have spent some money. So that's definitely helped and that's been good. But, this is Halo. It's one of the biggest gaming franchises of all time. And it feels like it's just kind of mostly a laughing stock when it comes to the TV show. The same cannot be said for Fallout. That recent trailer dropped, their South by Southwest experience. They launched new figurines. They launched a new Pip-Boy, a collection of all the games. Yeah, it's just like bang, 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 hitting you with loads of things. I've seen that the cast are doing the round on talk shows, which is, that's a big deal. I don't recall seeing any of the cast of the Halo TV show on talk shows. They might have been, but I've seen the cast of the Fallout TV show on talk shows. Bigging up the show, and yeah, there feels like a real buzz around the Fallout TV show, and I am obviously a huge Fallout fan. I do have my Fallout podcast with my buddy Eric, who I do the Starfield show with as well. That's Tapes from the Wastes. Please do go and listen to it if you have any interest in hearing me ramble at length about Fallout. But yeah, I thought it was funny how it feels like Fallout is one of the premier franchises right now, and I guess a large part of that is Amazon money, and they've spent a lot on this show and they'll want it to succeed. I think the whole conversation around what a gaming adaptation can be has changed drastically in the last few years, and things like, okay, the Sonic movie, which again didn't deliver what I wanted, but it's been a huge success. The Last of Us TV show, Detective Pikachu, lots of people loved that. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. We've kind of gone from the time where gaming adaptations were an absolute joke to they can be done well and sincerely and they creatively. So yeah, I'm so pumped for the Fallout show. It looks like it's really nailed the tone of what those games are. And it's a great cast and a great crew, so I'm expecting it to be very good unless something catastrophically goes wrong. So looking forward to that, and just, yeah, well done to Amazon and Xbox and whoever, for the marketing buzz behind the show, producing all the new merchandise and making Fallout seem like a big deal. I think, excuse me, if I'm not mistaken, let's have a sip of that coffee. Because I was doing some research for the Starfield show, and I was looking at Steam charts, and I think Fallout 4 had a spike in players. Let me have a look here. So when did the trailer come out? About a week ago. Or am I imagining it? So I'm just looking at Steam, obviously. No, there was a drop in players. There was one of the Bethesda games I was looking at. Maybe it was Fallout 76 or Fallout 3. One of them I know, because I was looking at stats for Starfield players and, how it was doing and stuff, or how it isn't doing. Fallout 76 was down. Fallout 3... No, maybe I'm just completely off my head in imagining this. I know I read somewhere something about Fallout players up or something like that. Maybe it was just like a fake article. Anyway, I think as we get closer to the show, we'll probably see a spike. I think they are planning to launch the Fallout 4 next gen or current gen upgrade, which was due last year. It's still not here. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if they didn't launch that alongside the show. That feels like an open goal to getting some engagement with your game. Launch the update when the show launches, and they're launching all episodes of the show in one go, which I've seen some people say that's usually when they don't have faith in the show. I don't know if that's the case. I would rather it was weekly, because I wanted the episodes to kind of, gestate? That's not right, is it? Percolate? Simmer? I like the week to week, and obviously doing a Fallout show, we were going to do weekly episodes, reviewing the episodes of the TV show. And we can't do that now, because it all drops in one go. And I'm away on fucking holiday. I'm at Chessington World of Adventures the day that it drops. So I've got to wait 2 days and hopefully avoid spoilers. Before I can finally dive into it. But very excited about the Fallout TV show. Well done to Amazon for making my beloved Fallout. What a turnaround, right? From Fallout 76 to where we are now. And I'm a Fallout 76 apologist. People who know me know this. I don't really engage with the live service nature, but I do revisit and I go back for the updates. But I don't generally grind the scoreboards, though they're getting rid of the scoreboards as well. Go and listen to Tapes from the Waste for more Fallout talk. So yeah, that kind of does it for the news. Gameplay wise, I do need to talk about Starfield, because that is what I've been playing a lot, which I'll get to. Firstly, still playing Balatro. This is 3 episodes running, folks, where I'm still playing this game, and I still haven't fucking completed a run on it. You can hear me through gritted teeth. So this game is awesomely addictive, but I can't do it. It just beats me. Effectively, you've got to go through 8 rounds. They're called tiers in the game. And I think I've only ever got up to 6. I've never even got to 7. Because if you don't have the right Joker cards and the right boosters and stuff like that, and the right upgrades, yeah, you just can't hit the score, the minimum score that you have to hit to progress to the next round. And yeah, it's killing me, man. Like, I love the game. I see that it's coming to iPhone as well. It needs to come to Android so I can get it on my phone. Love it. Love Balatro. And just to reiterate what I said a couple of episodes ago, the gaming industry is in disarray in lots of ways. If you want to support gaming, go and buy Balatro. It's basically out everywhere. I know they had some issues with rating, and I think it got taken off the Nintendo Switch store, maybe, or it might be back by now. But go and buy Balatro. You won't be disappointed. And support indie games. Go and do it. So, speaking of indie games, Starfield, which I have been playing, the game which on Steam currently has concurrent players 5,782, which is about 10,000 less than Skyrim, and maybe about 15,000 less than Skyrim, 10,000 less than Fallout 4. And I talked quite a bit about those Steam numbers on Starfield Sandwich. Obviously, I don't think they fully reflect the quality of a game. Fallout 4 and Skyrim have decades of legacy. Starfield does not. It's a new IP. It's a bold new IP. But yeah, so I went back to Starfield this week because we were doing our 6 months episode, and there will be some crossover here. So if you do listen to both my shows, I apologize, but I'll keep like an abridged version here on this episode too. Because I don't think I've talked about Starfield much on this show. The long and short of it is, we're 6 months out from the game. And I revisited Starfield because we were doing our episode on 6 months and how we felt about the impact and all the discourse on the game and stuff like that. And I jumped back into it this weekend. It's funny, I've had an itch to jump back in because some of the other creators that I follow on Twitter share a lot of photos from the game. And every time I'd see these photos, I was like, oh, god damn, I need to jump back into Starfield. And I've finished the game. You know, there's quests and stuff I haven't done, but I've finished the main game. I've got all the achievements as well. I've platinumed it, if you like, even though you can't do that on Xbox. So I've for a little while I've had an itch to get back into it, and I thought, right, we're doing our 6 months, let's jump back in. And yeah, God, I instantly just kind of fell back into the world. And this week, so it's like the past 4 nights I've been playing it, and just, I'm so disappointed in what I feel like is a very unfair brush that this game has been painted with. And again, I keep repeating myself here, I said this on the other show, I am completely on board with some of the criticisms for Starfield. I even agree with them. What I don't agree with is this idea that it lacks depth, that it is boring, it's dull. Listen, it has some dull bits of dialogue, I'll tell you that now. But it's a huge game. I can't think it's all going to land. People have said it's quantity over quality. It's like, I get it, I get what you're saying, but I think when you've played enough of it, you realise that okay, there is a range of quality because of the quantity. It's not all going to land, but I think what does lands really, really, really well. I think a huge amount of credit has to be given to Bethesda for creating a bold new IP. New IPs, we're always begging for new IPs, and then we get one. It's like, oh, but I don't want that one. Yeah, it's really disheartening because the game has so much to offer, and I kind of poured my heart out a little bit on the recent episode of Starfield Sandwich, so I do implore you to go listen to it. Go listen to the first, 45 minutes of the show if you want, where you'll hear me definitely talk at length about what the game has, how I feel about the game, and what I think about the discourse. And I wanted to just sing some of its praises here and say, yes, I'm with some of the criticisms. I just can't get on board with the fact that it's dull and boring and lacks depth. That feels like it just feels insincere. It feels cynical. When people say that stuff. And it's fine if it's not for you. That's absolutely fine. If it's a taste thing, that's cool. Starfield, I think, pissed off a lot of people because, like Suicide Squad, it didn't give them what they wanted. It wasn't Skyrim in space. It has different exploration and traversal. It's open hubs instead of open worlds. Yeah. But I love Starfield, and I've been loving going back into it. And even for a game, like I say, that I've got all the achievements, and some could say it doesn't really have like a massive incentive to play right now. That's not true, because there's quests that I still haven't done. There's places I still haven't kind of discovered. And what I've most enjoyed about it these past few nights is just going back into the world and kind of appreciating the setup that they've done here. And because they've got all this, all this history, and that they touch on and that they reference, and all these new factions and these wars and stuff like that, and these mysteries about the bigger, broader themes in the game, which for people who haven't played it, I'm not going to spoil, because there are some broader themes beyond just traveling around space. It's very, Prometheus, Interstellar type stuff. Two films which I absolutely love. Two films, I might add, which are incredibly divisive as well, just like Starfield. So yeah, the game has mostly negative reviews on Steam, but I just don't buy into this idea that a game's quality is fully reflected by the reviews on Steam, particularly with a large game like this, because we know fanboys exist, we know review bombing exists, and we know people are fickle. Gamers are fickle. Humans are fickle. I would love to talk with anybody at length about Starfield. This is why I love doing that show with Eric, because we had a really, really good conversation, and I'm really proud of the chat we had. It's a podcast, it's a casual chat, but I thought about what I was going to say going in, and I stand by my opinions. The hatred and the kind of disdain and the just kind of overt criticism towards Starfield is kind of unlike anything I've seen. And, it's going to have a target on its back for obvious reasons. But people are playing it and people are loving it. It's still in the top 30 most played games on Xbox. And it's only one of 3 single player games in that top 30. The top 30, which is mostly dominated by multiplayer, live service, Fortnite's, Apex, FIFA. Yeah, mostly dominated by that. And Starfield, single player campaign, a single player game. Clearly it's got legs, it's still there, and it's kind of just the beginning. We're still waiting for DLC, but it's funny I call it not a live service because, and I said this on the other show, I kind of have to treat it maybe like live service, because Bethesda themselves and Xbox themselves have said, we want you to be playing this for years. And it's like, okay, give me a reason to then. And I need a reason. We haven't really had any new features added. The DLC isn't here yet. Those expansions aren't here. But look, fucking Elden Ring's expansion has taken 2.5 years to arrive. So did Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. There's no reason why a huge update can't come to Starfield this year or in a year and a half and bring in new players and maybe change people's hearts and minds, And to underline it, I think time is going to be very kind to the game. I think people are going to look back on what Bethesda tried to do. A game like many others that was largely, a large part of it was produced and developed during the pandemic as well, where times were difficult. So let's not begrudge a few missing features, because of the scope of the game. This isn't a small game. They had to make some choices and they had to make some cuts. I'm fine with local maps and stuff coming later. If they thought, no, let's just save that. I'm fine with land rovers, space rovers coming later. They thought, we haven't got time to do this. Let's just get out the game. We have to pick our battles. That's, I think, what they did with Starfield, which is why maybe it lacks a few features that some of us would want. But I think what they did deliver was Was incredibly impressive, at times profound, at times quirky, weird, fun, at times not as good. But that's going to happen with a game as huge. And I've heard people call it too big for its own good. It's like, yeah, maybe at the moment. But like I said, we're just launching here. Games are now seen. It kind of contradicts like maybe some of the trends at the moment where people are moving away from these long-term games, and I want that. I want more short games as well. But I do think there is a place for the big blockbusters with hundreds of hours. I do think there's a place for Bethesda and what they do. Despite me yearning for smaller games and AA, the RoboCops of the world. Excuse me. But yeah, I thought it's at times plays to the strengths of what Bethesda do, while them trying something new with the hubs. It's not an big open map. It's hubs. It's hub-based exploration, which works fine for me. I'm keen for more. So yeah, back to absolutely loving Starfield. I was playing a bit of Elden Ring as well, but I'm not going to go on about that. And yeah, just going to be playing more Starfield. What's coming out? So we are March the 17th. We are so close now. Game releases 2024. We are close to Alone in the Dark and South Park Snow Day. Right, what else have we got? This is not what I want. I'm trying to bring up game release dates. So March, here we go. March the 20th, Alone in the Dark. That's 3 days away. Now, speaking of marketing, let's just close my blind here and sit in the dark, away from the world. Yeah, there's not been a great deal of marketing behind Alone in the Dark, and I was pumped for this game to come out, but yeah, it's been very quiet on that front. But I mean, I'm planning on picking it up day one, so I don't know. There's no reviews out for it yet, right? If for some reason the reviews are in the 4s and 5s, maybe I won't pick it up day one, but I'm planning on picking it up. I want that Alone in the Dark. Then, of course, we have Dragon's Dogma, which I am absolutely interested in, but I just think the task at hand with Dragon's Dogma and what's involved in the playtime needed for that, I'm going to have to add that to the backlog. I'm going to stick with Alone in the Dark, and then I'm going to stick with South Park Snow Day, which comes out on the 26th as well. So next week, there's 2 big games coming out, and I can't wait to play them. The 26th is 10 days away. So yeah, by the time this next week's episode arrives, I'll have some Alone in the Dark chats, and then after that will be South Park Snow Day. Unless something else comes along and catches my eye between now and then. If you're a PS5 player, you've got Rise of the Ronin coming out, big game. Oh, Princess Peach Showtime. My son is quite excited about that. Maybe an Easter present for him. We'll see how the bank account looks next week, which won't be good, let's face it. Yeah, so there's lots to enjoy. Looking ahead to April, what big games do we have coming out in April? Nothing huge that I can see. There is Stellar Blade for PS5, which that's one of those. This is a scenario where I'm jealous. I want to play Stellar Blade. Really, really want to play Stellar Blade, and I can't because it's exclusive to PS5. It's not first party, right? I think it's second party. And then looking ahead to May, I can't see anything. Killer Clowns from Outer Space in June, and Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC comes out in June as well. Yeah, a few other things later in the year, but for now, looking ahead, it's Alone in the Dark for next week, which did get delayed, right? It was supposed to be out around Halloween, but it was a busy time for release dates, so they pushed it for game releases, so they got out of the way of Alan Wake 2 and stuff. But that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening to me whinge about Spider-Man and live service. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being cynical today, but yeah, to reiterate, just weird how people are excited for that live service game, but don't have any love for effectively a game that is exactly the same but with DC characters. Looking forward to the Fallout TV show, and I'm going to go play some more Starfield after I've spent some time with my family today. It's Sunday. The weather is shit, but we're going to find something to do. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, enjoy your Sunday, enjoy your week. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.